Welcome to everyone. Today we'll have webinar about 5 keys to develop an impactful ESG strategy. And I couldn't be more excited about this topic because it is so important to get the start of sustainability journey right. Whew. Okay, I'm just gonna start by stating the obvious. Working in sustainability can feel lonely, draining, exhausting, and really challenging. If you are the only person working in your company who has the responsibility to advocate for social and responsible business operations, it can feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, like for Atlas Shrugged, and it can be really exhausting. So one of the reasons why are we all here in this webinar is to figure out what are the best practices and also share with each other what we know, what we can. I strongly believe that the more connections we make with each other, the more new relationships and friendships we build in between each other, the more valuable our work outcome can be, and the positive impact that we create will be disproportionate to just the number of people who are here. So I'm really glad that you are here. And just to kick things off, and so that I see that you are definitely listening, you're definitely here, I would love to hear, where are you on your sustainability journey? What are you working on? Maybe what's your role, or just how long you've been on this path. So just write it in the chat. You can already now find where the chat button is on Zoom. I think it's down below somewhere. And I would invite us to connect with each other. If you see someone interesting that you would really love to just invite for a 10-15 minute virtual coffee, then do it. If you are open to it, then just mention which platform is easier for you to communicate. Maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's just your email. And let's make this small webinar a big impact. Okay. And one more thing, I'm really hoping that you're going to stay till the end, because we're going to share about our vision on how to make your impact house also your most impactful journey and community. What is the next step of this journey? Okay, I see people are still looking for the chat. So I'm just gonna send a quick message. Maybe you'll see a notification. So, good morning, everyone. Once more, and with big letters. This webinar is for learning and also sharing. So let's take the first baby step in building a small, close-knit community of people who want to make a positive impact with the work that we do. The more we can share and support each other on this journey, the biggest positive impact we'll have. So share in the chat where you are on your sustainability journey, what are the things that you're currently working on, and open up to conversation with other webinar participants after the session as well. You're welcome to leave your message, your intro message in the chat. As we go through the webinar, I see people are shy or just still getting through their first cup of coffee. But don't be shy and leave a short intro there so you can connect with each other as well. Oh, Laura, thank you for breaking the silence. I appreciate it. My heart was kind of sinking for a second. I thought that no one is going to respond at all. So, Laura, thank you. So Laura is just starting out and has written the strategy, and now is the hardest part. Okay, exciting times. I'm not going to read all of them, but I am really happy to see that there is some life in the chat happening as well. Okay, while you're writing your intros, we'll also do a short introduction of who are we, the hosts of this webinar? My name is Christine. I'm the founder of Your Impact House, and I've been working as sustainability advisor for the last 2 years. I've been working on projects like strategy development, goal setting, defining KPIs, ESG policy development, and sustainability communication projects. And before that, I joined the first unicorn company here in Latvia. And one of the tasks on my job description was to develop and implement a CSR strategy for this large manufacturing company. And I learned a ton, and I want to share that. So if you are currently also learning about all things sustainability, I also invite you to check out my new YouTube channel. This is something new I'm trying and learning. And if you're also learning about the topic, check it out. Okay, today with us is also the co-host of this webinar, Maija Aboliņa-Thompsone. Maija, please do a short introduction to what you're all about.
Yes, well, good morning once again, and I'm super happy to see that we are such a diverse audience today, because I see some really great professionals in ESG topics. So Eva Kustova, welcome, VUCA World, welcome, Oskars Gutmanis, welcome, Evita Gosha, welcome. I'm really would like to encourage you, when you hear something where you could add your experience, you are most welcome to do it within the following hour, because this webinar is for knowledge sharing, and me and Christine, we are going to share our tips and tricks that we have learned over the past years. So yes, but regarding me, yes, I'm a founder of ESG Consulting, very small boutique agency, Ziemeļmeitu Consulting, and in my free time, I'm a podcaster. I love to talk with people on two different topics. One is corporate sustainability. So I'm super happy to share through this podcast channel experience stories from different companies, and also with then experts crack on some really difficult topics within the sustainability. And the second topic that I love to talk with the people is just about life. So I'm a podcaster, and I'm a big lover of true conversations. I have an experience with local and international brands, and in my previous life, I have also been a corporate citizenship manager for Baltics, and later corporate citizenship executive for Europe in Samsung Electronics. So I have seen it from the both sides, how to do the sustainability in-house and also from the consulting perspective. Christine, forward to you.
Thank you, Maija. I'm beyond excited to be working with you and collaborating with you. And I've learned so much already just by us hosting webinars together and working on new projects and new ideas together. So kudos to Maija, and you'll hear more from her a little bit later in this webinar. Okay, so on today's agenda, first things first, what is an impactful ESG strategy? Then when is actually the right time to work on it? And 5 keys to developing an impactful ESG strategy. These 5 keys are going to be based on our experience working with businesses in both kind of formats, consulting and in-house. And although Maija said that you can ask your questions and contribute to the session, we'll also have a Q&A in the end. So whichever floats your boat, we're happy to hear your thoughts, and I'm very curious about what questions you'll ask in the end. All right. So before we get into like what is ESG strategy and how to make it an impactful one, let's just clarify. What is ESG? ESG demonstrates the environmental, social, and governance factors that your organization believes to be intrinsically important to the current and future business operations. If you look at large corporations, for example, one that we all know, Coca-Cola. To make Coca-Cola, you need a bunch of chemicals and sugars and the secret recipe and water. And of course the plastic bottles that you package it in, and but essentially you need water to make lemonade, right? From Coca-Cola's perspective, if they are gonna have if they already have manufacturing plants all across the world, and some of them are in water scarce regions, that means it is a risk, it is an environmental risk to their business, but it is also a social risk. Imagine if they are just bumping out bottles and bottles of Coca-Cola while their neighboring community doesn't have water to drink. Doesn't look too good for the company's reputation as well. So water scarcity is an environmental and social risk for a company like Coca-Cola. And similarly, you can look at ESG risks and also opportunities for every single business. Larger corporations and financial sector and investors use ESG to assess what are the potential risks and opportunities that potentially could increase the company's valuation or reduce it. A good ESG ranking basically means that the company is managing those risks well and that it has processes in place to reduce them over time. A good ESG ranking doesn't mean that company is perfect. You can see on, for example, S&P 500 ESG list that companies that are on the top are far from perfect. Their main business model usually is something that is very unsustainable. But at the same time, I think when we think about ESG, we have to keep in mind that the reality of the world today. If you take a look around at your room, I imagine you're either in your office or maybe at your home, probably 50 to 70 to maybe 90% of the things in your room are made of plastic. That's just the reality that we live in today. It's far from perfect, but those businesses are in place because we are living the lifestyle that we are living, and we're living the lifestyle that we are living because the businesses are like that. So if we want those businesses to improve, there has to be some kind of a framework or a process to actually do it. And ESG is the framework that supports that improvement over time in the areas that are most pressing and the most challenging. Hope that makes it clear. Every here and there I meet up with people who want to hear my opinion about ESG, and then there is usually the question about, so why is Tesla not on the ESG S&P 500 list anymore? And I think this is why. Another term that we are going to mention is impact. Impact essentially, an impact company essentially means that the company's purpose improves environment or the society in a meaningful, undeniable way. It can be measured, it can be traced. You cannot deny the fact that company is creating a positive impact. For example, a positive impact climate company that produces solar panels. They can show you how many solar panels they have installed, what is kilowatt hours of green energy they have manufactured thanks to these these solar panels, and there is some kind of measurable way to see what their positive impact is. And investors that work in impact investing, that's exactly what they're looking at. So for them, it's all about comparison. So there is a potential to invest in one company and the other company. But what they expect is that the larger the business will grow, the bigger the positive impact will be. And then they can compare, okay, so this business has been in the business for 5 years and have 5 panels, or this business has been in the business for 2 years and they have hundreds of panels, and the investment ticket is the same. So of course they're going to go with the best deal in terms of the money and also in terms of the impact. In reality, in the current business environment, majority of the businesses are not impact driven. But what businesses can do is make their ESG strategy impactful. So that's what we are all about today, and what we'll be sharing more in the upcoming slides. So what is an impactful ESG strategy? It is focused on few key impact areas. It is fully supported by the leadership team. It is tied in the business strategy. It is actionable and measurable, and it is developed for continuous improvement. These are the 5 keys, and we'll go more into detail for each and one of them. But before we do, the big question is, when is actually the right time to work on an ESG strategy? The ESG strategy development usually and quite logically is the first step on the company's sustainability journey. It is also the most impactful task in the long term. It sets the tone, it sets the direction, it sets the level of ambition, and when you are just starting, you also have more of the leadership team's attention. So if you do it right, you set your company on a trajectory to creating a lot of positive impact. Or you don't. In reality, majority of SMEs usually waste the opportunity. How it usually goes is either the ESG strategy development is assigned to someone who has no experience in the subject, which is totally fine. I was there. It's not fine because it takes a lot of time to learn about ESG, although you understand the business itself. The other way is hiring a consultant. Also, nothing wrong with it. Also been the consultant who's been hired, right? But it will take time for the consultant to actually onboard to all of the details of the business. What is the culture? What is the business strategy? What are the suppliers? What are the customers? What are the investors expecting? Like all of the things, like to onboard and understand all of these aspects, it will take time. That's just part of it. And in the business environment, time means money. And that money could also be spent on actually creating a positive impact, right? So when is actually the right time for company to work on an ESG strategy? It's definitely not when the customers or regulators or investors are already knocking on your door, because that's already too late. You then put yourself in a position of chasing their requirements, not creating your own framework that would support your business goals the most. The best time is when you are ready to invest in the business, when you have the capacity to think long term. For example, you are thinking about hiring a lot of new employees and scale the business. You're looking to expand into a new country or region. You're looking to raise additional funding. You're developing a new product. That is the right time to spend time and invest in an impactful ESG strategy, because then you have the mental and also the mental capacity to think long term and not just be chasing what others are requiring you to do. Okay, we're flying through this. So if you have any questions or comments, really, really cool. We don't mind if you also just jump in and share your thoughts. Let's get into the 5 keys to developing an impactful ESG strategy. Key number 1, Maya, I think this one is yours.
Yes, so let's crack on to the practical part of this morning conversation. And yes, for me, the first key where I always start is actually trying to develop a love story, beautiful love story from the reality and future. So actually this means that number 1, you have to understand where are you, How tall are you? How heavy you are? What is your appetite? How much money you have? And where you would love to see yourself within the next 3 years. So, Christine, if you could just jump on the next slide, it would be wonderful. So in general, this means you have to, well, make SWOT analysis or C-SWOT analysis, sustainability SWOT analysis. Assess what kind of sustainability-related actions you are already taking. Are there any ESG-related policies and procedures in the place? Research what your competitors are doing and what kind of legal requirements are there. Analyze industry best practices and research customer expectations. Talk to your colleagues and, yes, of course, start with your bosses just to understand what their mindset and expectations towards sustainability. Or find out what are you doing excellent in the company and where some improvements would be very welcome. And actually, this means that you have to understand where is the core competence of the company. Definitely find out the business development plans and investments available, and think about the biggest current challenges world is facing in terms of climate change, social issues, geopolitical instability, cost of living skyrocketing, health, and all the other risks and catastrophes that we are currently facing. Number two, you need to understand where the world is moving. So it means that you have to make a pestle analysis, which means political, economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal trends. Look for those trends and put them all together within the one analysis because it impacts your company's development in the future. Search definitely for megatrends, definitely. Follow on Green Deal if you are based in the Europe, or Fit for 55 policies that are coming out. Understand what are the biggest risks of the world and where lies the biggest opportunities in terms of new business growth and new customer habits and new customer needs and expectations, because that's where there lies the opportunity for the business to grow. And definitely, it's not only about the data analysis and searching for what customers are expecting and competitors are doing, but it's also about broadening your mindset, your knowledge. And I would just love to encourage you to read philosophy, new philosophy about sustainable world. Read about how we are switching paradigm from linear living and consuming to circular living and consuming, or learn all about regenerative cultures and societies that we are currently striving towards it, because it will definitely just broaden your mind where the world is moving further. And number three, so not to get lost in those 1,000 topics of the ESG, just simply make an ESG materiality assessment and find your materiality topics to include in the strategy. And finally, define your strategy framework or roadmap. I personally love to start with 3 Ps, which is people, planet, profit, or people, planet, product. And I'm trying to find 1 to 3 focus areas in each of the P. What I'm going to focus for the people, what I'm going to focus for the product, and what I'm going to focus for the planet. And then I start to drop down it in more detailed target versions. So by the way, Christine, please, the next slide. Christine has done some couple of quite cool videos. In the first one, she's true killer in the real meaning killer, so definitely need to check this out. Very bloody video. And Christine has also done a masterclass on materiality assessment. So I would just like to encourage you to watch and dive deeper into this particular topic, how to do the materiality assessment. All right, let's go on, Christine. So all my previous described actions leads actually to the one key that I'm personally searching when I start all the work for sustainability strategy development. I'm trying to find the area of the impact. And the questions to answer during the searching processes are: what is the most painful problem related to your business operations and related to the world and society that you are in or your local communities? can you have the biggest positive outcome by solving it? So, because not always the most painful problems that you solved has the biggest positive impact. So you need to find this balance or match. Who and how will benefit from it that you solve the problem? And can you measure the scope of the impact in terms of financial aspects or financial benefits for your company, social aspects, and environmental aspects? So, Christine, microphone to you. Next key.
All right. Next key, leadership buy-in. And by buy-in, I mean your leadership team should become the biggest preachers and cheerleaders for every step of the ESG journey. And that is absolutely the only way how ESG strategy can be integrated in the business and become part of the company's DNA. This sounds like a bold claim. I know not every business owner, not every CEO is interested in these topics. Some of them really do care more about other aspects of the business, but it is our job, or not your job as ESG manager or CSR manager, to find a way how you can spark each of the leadership team's members' interests and how you can pitch it to them in a way that they get the value. So how to actually do it? First and foremost, you have to talk to them. Sit down with each and every key leadership team member, starting from the board members, CEO, department leads, and understand what they care about. What is also their sense of understanding of these topics, and make note of what are their goals and what are their ambitions. For example, if their goal is to grow the size of the team, then maybe the way how you can pitch ESG is through employer branding or social initiatives that will take better care of the current workforce, right? Another thing that is really important is to understand that usually the leadership team will have hundreds of things on their mind. So it is your job to create a process where they can easily stay in the loop on what is going on. So how I did it when I was working in a large company is I was scheduling regular progress updates. It was 30 minutes. I had everyone who I needed to be there. The meeting was recorded. Afterwards, I sent the slides in case just someone couldn't make it. And I would explain what is the progress since we last checked in, what have been the challenges, what are the next steps. I would compile this information basically from all aspects of the business. And I would also ask for help. So we are facing these challenges and I cannot get the needle moving. We need either someone's approval or budget or what. Basically, I'll rally the resources to make sure that there is progress to share every month. And that also makes everyone informed, but also excited about what is happening with the ESG related initiatives. And one more point. One of the strongest way how leadership team can show that they care is by how they talk to their employees. What are the key things that they emphasize when they go to presentations, to do interviews? So your job is to help them save time and provide the snippets of information, data that they can refer to, summarized key talking points. So when they are going to an important media interview and they know that they have to mention something about this topic, it is easy for them to say the right thing and say it right. Because in ESG communication, you want to make sure that the data is on point and that no one from the team says, something that might be misinterpreted as greenwashing, right? Okay, key number 3. Back to Maya.
Yes. Key number 3, tied in the business strategy. So what does it mean? Christine, let's move. Click. So when developing an ESG strategy, you actually have to reach a balance between ESG ambition and the current business strategic goals. For example, your ESG ambition might be to become a carbon neutral, but if the business currently is going through a rough patch and is struggling to break even, it simply can't be a priority, let's face it. Similarly, if the business ambition is to grow the team in the next couple of years, then social and environmental issues that help employer branding are in a higher priority. So the end goal actually here is to have one strategy that supports responsible business practices and that supports business growth. So Christine, if you could go further. So for an ESG strategy to be part of the business strategy, first and most important thing is for a responsible person, whoever it is, whether it's chief sustainability officer, which I have seen only in 2 cases so far, at least in Latvia, whether it's marketing manager, whether it's HR, whether it's legal, whether it's quality manager, who only is responsible about their sustainability. It has to be a part of the leadership team meetings, have visibility on the current priorities and access to all the yearly goals and long-term strategy, just to understand what's happening actually within the company and where the company is moving towards to. So for the strategy to become a part of the business, it should be treated actually as a part of the business and should have a seat at the table. Because once the head of sustainability is part of the leadership team planning sessions, well, they can bring their input and discover where ESG supports business goals. For example, if the sales team can't close the deal with large businesses because their procurement specialists require information about companies' ethical business practices, then ESG manager can help with developing a policy and prioritizing, ensuring the best practice requirements are met. Or find where business initiatives support ESG. For example, if a production manager is working on a goal to cut costs, team up and work on energy saving or energy efficiency projects. So this is the key aspect, how to make and blend all those strategies together, because you can't maintain 2 different strategies within the company, especially if you are a small company. So it's better to have one strong bulletproof strategy that's blended, that supports each other, and that's living as a one organism. Christine?
All right. Now the 4th key, which is also the backbone of all the sustainability projects that you'll have, the ESG strategy. For ESG strategy to be impactful, it has to be actionable and measurable. Because otherwise, how can you even tell that it is impactful? So I think that ESG strategy without an action plan and KPIs can become yet another form of greenwashing. If you've created this beautiful document that sets out the vision and mentions some great, grand, global problems that you care about, but there is no action on your side and there are no KPIs, there are no specific goals, then it's just a document that is describing the general environment of the business. Is not really a strategy for making change and creating positive impact. So, how to actually do it? First and foremost, if you are building the ESG strategy and have defined, for example, 3, 4, 5, 6 key areas that you'll be focusing on, each of that area should have SMART goals and KPIs. SMART goals is probably a very commonly used term, but just in case you haven't heard, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time bound. That means that you're not just saying that we care about climate. that's not actionable, that's not realistic. You should say very specifically, so we want to reduce our energy consumption in these specific power plants by 20% by the end of the year. It is realistic probably, because usually just energy efficiency audits alone can help you reach that. It is time bound, it is specific, it is measurable. At the end of the year, you can look at the goal and see, did we actually do it? Did we not do it? Did we not manage to succeed? And having specific KPIs for each area is essential, because otherwise, by the end of the day, you are comparing cats with dogs. Now we have the CSRD and SFDR in Europe, so it kind of sets the tone for what those KPIs should be, and how we should measure the progress and in which specific areas. So that as well can be a good guideline for setting those KPIs. And of course, there should be some kind of a system for gathering this data. Usually companies start with just having an Excel, and there is one person who's held accountable who has to gather the data and the updates on a regular basis. If that doesn't work, then of course there are other platforms and solutions that can be used. And sometimes businesses go for an option to developing their own internal IT solution. All right, that's the key number 4. And the last but not least is for Maja.
And the final key, just prepare yourself for a constant journey. So as the strategy, and especially in the circumstances of today's constantly changing situation, constantly changing the world, it has to be a living and breathing organism. Because when you will wake up tomorrow, the world will be totally changed. And we experienced that for 2 times. First for the pandemic, and secondly for the war in Ukraine. So the pace that we are living today is just enormous. And now we put together a strategy for 2 years, for 3 years. There's no such thing anymore as 5-year strategy development plan. So you have to update it constantly. And Christine, if you could just switch slides, please. And impactful ESG strategy is not a one-time initiative. It just involves an ongoing commitment to improvement and learning. And if we go further, Christine, please, then companies just have to continuously assess their ESG performance. Where are you? How quickly are you moving, or how slowly are you moving towards your targets? What are some obstacles? Can you quickly erase those obstacles and keep on the pace and track which you set for yourself? Keep eyes open and continue to check in with the stakeholders on the regular basis, because now they know also and can tell you where the world is moving, what's new around, what's happening, and what's going to impact your business as well, and what they are expecting from your business. So you have to adapt to changing circumstances. Just simply adapt the approaches needed to drive even a greater positive outcomes. So if you see that maybe your targets have been set too low or not so ambitious, then you just can scale quickly, fastly, and just get more positive impact out of it. And just refine the strategies to stay relevant and effective in this constantly changing world, and just do it again and again and again and again and again. Check in with the strategy development within the quarterly basis, semi-yearly basis, yearly basis, but don't ever leave the strategy document somewhere in the folder to take it out whenever you are just developing a sustainability report or just gathering the information to report to some other organization that is asking for yourself, that's asking for the data. Just work with it on every day. And so, guys, these are the 5 keys we use in our daily lives for crafting impactful ESG strategies. And I just hope that sharing our tips and tricks help you to get at least more clarity on the journey you are about to begin or you are already on. And so we would be super happy to receive your questions. But Christine, I know that you have something to tell from your side as well.
Yes, one more thing. As I shared previously, we are looking for ways how to create a disproportionate positive impact with the knowledge we have, with the experience we have, with the work that we do, with the skills we have. And as someone who's worked with community management in the startup space and hosted all kinds of different initiatives, I think that the biggest opportunity for us here is to learn from each other and support each other as we grow. I'm very, very passionate about supporting sustainability managers who are just starting out, because for me, when I was just starting out on the subject, it was really hard. And I think there is a better way. And Maya and I are just brainstorming and consulting each other and figuring it out, how we can support people in that position as they're just getting started. So if you are in that position, or maybe someone you know is in that position, then please just reach out to me. I would just so appreciate an opportunity to have a 10-15 minute virtual coffee with you and ask a couple of questions about how you're doing and what are the challenges, so we can create something that would really help you solve the biggest pain points. And one more thing, we will be hosting these kind of webinars on regular basis, and the next steps of our vision also include collaboration with other industry insiders who have battle scars to show and experience to share. So this is an open call for speakers, for mentors, on how to build an ESG strategy, how to measure the progress, how to create policies that are not just Google documents stored somewhere, and how to make a positive change in the people and the planet. So I would love to hear from you. Here's my email. If you want to jump in, let us know. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Maya, for contributing to this and for the amazing collaboration we've had so far. Cannot wait for what's coming next, and I hope I'll get a lot of emails from you suggesting yourselves as speakers and mentors for the upcoming activities we're planning. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great and productive rest of the day. Take care. Ciao.